Hey guys, my name is Sarah. This is the first time I'm ever sitting down and filming a proper video. I've filmed covers in the past that I've put on this channel, but I've never actually talked to you guys. My few followers, there's 8 of you? There's not even 8, and they're all my friends, so shout out to you guys. So today I'm going to be filming a response/tagged video in response to Ariel over at Ariel Bissett. She did an amazing video talking about her reading year in review, and I loved it so much, so I was inspired to copy her. Can I say that? So yeah, so that's what I'm doing. So let's just jump on in to the video. So I read a total of 22 books this year. 3 of them were graphic novels, 1 of them nonfiction, and then the rest were just fiction of varying sub-genres, and yeah, that's basically it. The shortest book that I read this year was volume 1 of Miss Marvel, which is a graphic novel, and I really enjoyed it. I'm not the hugest fan of graphic novels, but as far as graphic novels go, I loved it a lot. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's really good. The Miss Marvel comic came out to be 105 pages, which isn't really short, but it's the shortest one that I read this year. Moving on, the longest book that I read this year was 609 pages, and that was Monsters of Men by Patrick Ness. I will be talking about him and this book the entire video because I fell in love with him and his writing this year, so just have a gander, please. Are you gonna focus? There we go. Wasn't she beautiful? So yeah, longest book. I'm not the hugest fan of large books. I like small books, but what can you do? Moving on to the actual categories of this video. The first one is Prettiest book cover. I had to pick Where Things Come Back by John Corey Whaley. This cover is so simple. I love simple covers that are really interesting, and I think this is interesting. I love just the contrast of just having 3 colors on this. We have the blue, we have the white, we have the black. Just like it so much. It's so pretty and I just love it. Favorite author of 2017? I have to give it to Patrick Ness. I love the way this man writes. That man can write a book. He can write a trilogy so well. I'm gonna be ranting and raving about his Chaos Walking trilogy because I was and still am obsessed with it. But Patrick Ness just has a way with words, and his characters are just fantastic. I've seen a few of the interviews of him talking, and I love him as a person, and I love his writing. I love the characters that he crafts, and I like that they're so human and authentic, and I just love them so much. So I love his writing, and so he's my new favorite author. Side note, I read a lot of new authors this year, but he was my favorite. So, Patrick Ness. My favorite new genre was sci-fi. Again, thanks to Patrick Ness. I read his Chaos Walking trilogy, which is sci-fi, futuristic, dystopian, I think. I'm not the hugest fan of that genre because I got so burnt out by it because every new YA fiction that came out was like that. And obviously this is a much older series, but just the way he wrote science fiction, it makes me want to read all science fiction books. Well, not all of them, but more science fiction, so I'm really excited. The most disappointing read of 2017. I would have to give this to the 12 Days of Dash and Lily by Rachel Cohen and David Leviathan. I loved Dash and Lily's Book of Dares so much, and the sequel kind of just fell flat for me. I didn't like how Lily was just, I felt she was very whiny, and just I didn't like the second one that much. Like, I really liked the first one, so the sequel was a very big disappointment for me. So yeah, so now we get on into my favorite books of 2017. These are in no particular order, just because I couldn't order them, because I like all of them equally, I think. Where Things Come Back by John Corey Whaley. This book, it's so, like, how it was written, it's so beautiful, it's so simple, and I just love it so much. Like, as soon as I was like 3/4 of the way through it, I wanted to reread it. Guys, that never happens to me. Like, I never want to reread something that I've just read. But with this book, I did. So, like, science or something. I'm so excited to read more of his stuff in the future. And I really want to reread this again next year. So maybe this will be, like, my first read of 2018, which could be exciting. If you haven't read this, check it out. I didn't pick it up for the longest time, even though I owned it for like 2 years, because of the hype, but it is worth the hype. It's so good. My next favorite is Monsters of Men by Patrick Ness. I loved his entire Chaos Walking trilogy so much. This is by far, I think, my favorite of the three. The character development in these books are insane. Patrick Ness brings so much humanity to these characters. Like, I love them so much, and I'll probably just like start crying if I think about it. But anyways, I need to sit down and do like an actual review of these books. Right now I'm just blabbing on about how much I love these books, but I do, like, so much. So if you haven't read his series, go check it out, please. Thank you. My next favorite of this year was These Shallow Graves by Jennifer Donnelly. This is a historical fiction set in New York in the late 1800s. It was so good. It's like thriller, suspense, detective, reporter type of thing, and this book made me feel like so many injustices for women back then, and it just like, it lit a fire under me. I loved it so much. It was just a fun read. I flew through it. I don't fly through books. I like to read them like slowly and methodically and like think about the stuff that I'm reading. But this one I was like obsessed with. Like, I was like, I need to finish this. I need to finish this. I need to find out what happens, because it is kind of like a murder mystery type of thing. So if you guys like that type of thing, check it out. I am definitely going to check out more of her novels next year. My next favorite is The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. Oh my goodness, this book has my heart. Words, what are they? I can't even describe. I love Angie Thomas. I love the aspect of faith that is in the book. I just loved everything that it stood for. I love that it didn't feel like I was reading a young adult fiction novel. It felt like it was just a story that needed to be told, and it was told, and I just love it for that. That is some of my favorite types of fiction, just like stories in general. So if you haven't read this, please check it out. It is so good. It makes you think. It's hands down just great. My final favorite of this year is a memoir called It's What I Do, A Photographer's Life of Love and War. This memoir is by Lindsay Addario. She is a conflict photojournalist. She talks about how she became a photographer, how she was a conflict photojournalist after 9/11, and her experiences in the field with our troops, and her opinions on war and just everything. And it was so eye-opening and so humbling, because like I love photography, and it's something that I'm so passionate about. It opened my eyes to things I'd never thought about before, and it helped strengthen my love of photography, and it made me want to become a conflict photojournalist, which I don't know if that's gonna happen. I have so much respect for Lindsay. It's something that I want to continue to reread, and just, yeah, I just loved it so much. So that is all for my favorites of 2017, although I do want to mention some of my favorites that weren't necessarily like my favorites, but were really, really good. The first one being Turtles All the Way Down by Mr. John Green. I was in the throes of reading a book, and then this came out. There was all this hype around it, and I was like, I cannot finish the book I'm currently reading until I read this. I picked it up and I read it, and like there's all those tabby things because I liked things that were said in it. I really liked this so much. It is probably my favorite John Green book, and I just loved how mental health was handled in this so much. I loved the relationship between Asa and her mom. Just liked it a lot. I'm so appreciative to John Green for writing such a realistic picture of mental health. Thank you. The last book I have to mention was dun dun dun, I Hate Everyone But You by Gabby Dunn and Allison Raskin. They had a book tour, and I live in Dallas, so I was able to see them and meet them and like take a picture with them, which I will insert here. It was fantastic. I love them. I love their YouTube channel, and to meet them in person, they're like a lot shorter than I thought they would be. That's just a weird thing to think about. But I love this book because I read it at a time when my best friend moved halfway across the US to go to college, and I was stuck here, and I was feeling very alone and like emotional. And anyways, this book is about two friends separating while they are going away to college. It's about their first semester, and I just loved it because of that. And I read it in a time when I needed it. I cried on the first page. I started crying, and then I was sobbing at the end of it, because the relationship that Gabby and Allison write in this is so much like me and my best friend's relationship. Her name is Tina, if anyone is wondering. I love her so much, but it is so similar to our relationship. It's kind of crazy. So I was just like sobbing at the end of it. I'm so thankful that they were able to write a novel and publish it. So yeah, so if you guys want to check this out, please do. It's a fun time. So yeah, ramblings aside, I have so much footage because this is like my first time filming a proper sit-down talky thing. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you are watching this and want to leave me a comment down below, I would be so happy about that. I hope you guys had a wonderful Merry Christmas or Hanukkah or holidays. And I hope you guys all have a wonderful new year. So I will see you guys in another video, hopefully soon. Bye.